This is David Haken with KC Cafe Radio at the Kerrville Folk Festival. I'm here with Freebo. Thank you for coming in today.
Hi everybody. Hi David. Thank you. Thanks for having me. And it's great to be here at Kerrville Folk Festival. It's just the best chill in the world.
That's right. Tell me a little bit about your background in music growing up.
Well, I was made to take piano lessons at like 5 years old, which of course my mother says someday you'll thank me. And thank you, Mom. I really appreciate that. Piano gave me my basic musical background to understand where the notes are, the harmony, how it all fits together. There was a lot of classical music played around the house, so I think that helped to attune my ear. They also liked Louis Armstrong, so I got a little bit of that, a little bit of jazz, a little bit of New Orleans without even knowing it was New Orleans. My parents went to a lot of Broadway shows. I'm from a small town, eastern Pennsylvania, but they would go to New York to shows and bring home the original cast albums, much of the Rodgers and Hammerstein stuff. And I was fortunate, they actually took me, I was a teenager, saw the original cast of West Side Story on Broadway, which is really cool. Beautiful music by Leonard Bernstein. So I was really affected by that type of music, classical music, show tunes. But also in a small town post-World War II, there were parades. And so I used to love it when the high school band would come around and they play things like Anchors Away and John Philip Sousa marches. And later on, right before high school, I decided to take up tuba in the band, and except for when I was playing football, and I did play football. I was actually a good football player. Believe it or not, look at me now. But I was actually an all-state football player in Pennsylvania. And but I played tuba when I wasn't doing that. I loved the tuba. Probably my most influential record as a kid was Tubby the Tuba.
There you go.
A wonderful kid's story, but it introduces you to all the instruments in the orchestra. So when it came time to take up the tuba, I did in the band. And that was very influential, the tuba itself, and I've very always been into bass, so that's part of the tuba thing. So I was familiar with all those bass parts, and I also love to sing bass in the a cappella choir, so with Christmas carols, so that helped me to figure out where the bass and where all the harmony parts fit together. Between junior and senior year of high school, I went to a summer camp, and I met a counselor there who was a folkie, Philadelphia folkie. And since I had learned a couple chords on ukulele from my dad, she showed me a couple more on the guitar. I added the bottom two strings.
There you go.
And so now I could play a little bit of guitar. Told my high school band director, we said, we've got this old Martin guitar sitting in a closet. You can have it for your senior year. So now I had a guitar.
Wow.
That helped me a little bit more. All of which led me eventually to a couple years later in one of the many colleges I went to. My roommate played guitar, a guy named Jerry Donahue, and I didn't have one, so I borrowed one from somebody down the hall, and I just started just kind of plucking on bass notes, and he stopped. He said, "How'd you learn how to do that?" And I said, I just do it, because that's the way my head works. He said, "Well, we gotta start a band. We gotta get you a bass." So we did, for like $12.50,
right.
1965 in Germany. And that was my first experience playing bass, and I went back to school in Philadelphia, University of Pennsylvania, and joined a glee club and met some guys, and one guy sat down and played with him, and he said, "Wow, we're just starting a band, we need a bass player." I said, "I can do that."
Yeah.
And that turned into a well-known Philadelphia band, Edison Electric Band, and in the process of that, in the 60s, 1967, I like to say I didn't do well with organic chemistry in college and pre-med, but I did my own organic chemistry experiments at that point, like everybody else did.
Right.
And that's when I actually came to the realization that I don't know how I got here, but I think I'm meant to be a musician.
Wow.
And that's when I made the decision in 1967, over half a century ago, to be a musician, and I'm very grateful that I've been able to do that and somehow make a living for the last 50 years. So
fabulous.
Kind of how it happened.
Tell us about your most recent album.
My most recent album is called If Not Now, When? And you can check it out at freebomusic.com or Spotify or CD Baby. And it's got a lot of good tunes on it. I write all sorts of tunes. My musical background is varied, so The tunes come out sometimes rock and roll, sometimes R&B, sometimes blues, sometimes country, sometimes folk, sometimes reggae, just different elements, and whatever the lyrics seem to suggest I put in there, different kinds of grooves. But you know, I'm all about the song. I want to write the best song I can, and have the lyrics be right, have the music be right. It generally emanates from the guitar. Sometimes I start with the music, sometimes with the lyrics. These days, generally the lyrics, and the rhythm of the lyrics takes me to where I should go musically. And I'm working on some new stuff. I'm working on my 6th CD, and I'm doing some speaking. I call it keynote concerts, where
cool.
it has a message. That the recent one is basically called "Heed Your Calling, If Not Now, When," and it's basically about I share my journey of how I came to find greater happiness by expressing myself through music, but not just playing the bass, but becoming a songwriter and a singer and expressing who I really am, and how that allowed me to get out what was sitting in there. And I like to say, if you don't express yourself, and usually creatively, if you don't express yourself, you will suppress yourself. You suppress your spirit, and then you will become depressed. So I think it's all about finding a way to express. So I'm very much into the creative arts, and not telling anybody they should quit their day job, but find something to do. It could be playing guitar, it could be gardening, and almost to do it for the process, not for the result, and just to be able to just express yourself. And so that's how I found a greater happiness, and I feel really, really fortunate.
That's a wonderful concept, to do a keynote concert experience where you really get to go deeper into that kind of wisdom and really help people beyond the enjoyment of the music and getting
because
think
the song,
about the lyrics.
Exactly. Well, the songs have a message of their own, but I can expound and expand, with that message. And then there's something about a song. It's got an emotional cushion to it. That's what the music does. So if you put that emotional cushion underneath the lyrics that hopefully are saying something you want to say, hopefully it's a deeper experience.
Great. So tell us what the spark was for this next song you're going to do for us, and introduce your guests.
Well, I'll introduce my guest first. This is Jack Williams on my right, one of my favorite guitarists and singers and songwriters in the whole world, and a good buddy. And this is my friend Alice Howe on my left, and she's a wonderful singer-songwriter. I just produced her first full-length CD, and we've been doing some shows together, so I've learned her material and she's learned mine, so both these guys are going to help me out. So I'm excited about that. This song is called To the Light, and I wrote it with my buddy Severin Brown, and we were at a songwriting camp, both teaching, and he came up with this chord progression. And he said, I've got this little chord progression and just a little melody, but I don't know where to go. And he said, I've heard it said, the earth looks peaceful when it's seen from outer space. Such a pretty place for you and me. That was it, slightly different melody. So I said, well, gee, I got some ideas. And we spent some time in it at the camp, and went back to LA and finished it, and came up with a tune that I love. We wrote it about 15 years ago, and I recorded on an older record, and since recorded on my latest record. So it's one of my favorite songs.
Oh, let's hear it.
To the Light. I've heard it said, the earth looks peaceful when it's seen from outer space. Such a pretty place for you and me. How do we hear the wisdom of the crickets in the night, singing out of sight from way down here, where there's only right or wrong. Why can't we just try to get along? I've heard it said, there's 100 billion galaxies of light lighting up the night for you and me. We could be just as peaceful as the earth from outer space, living in a place of harmony. Harmony, oh, such a lovely sound. Why do we put one another down? Just consider that there is no wrong or right, and consider that there is no black or white. There are always shades of gray to help us find our way to the light. To the light. To the light. I've heard it said, every culture has a history in stone, dances of their own they'd like to do. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you like to be accepted just the way you are? Is that really hard to see? Couldn't we find a way to understand and blow away that line in the sand? Just consider that there is no wrong or right, and consider that there is no black or white. There are always shades of gray to help us find our way to the light. To the light. To the light. Dee dee dee. Dee dee dee. Dee dee dee. There are always shades of gray to help us find our way to the light. 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 I've heard it said. I've heard it said. The earth looks peaceful when it's seen from outer space. Such a pretty place for you and me. For you and me, for you and me. It's Jack Williams, Alice Howe.
And Freebo, thank you. Wonderful message in that.
Thank you.
So would you play another song for us?
Love to. This is another one of my favorite songs. This is a song about love, about the higher order of love. I wrote it with my good friend Karen Taylor Good. This song is called That's What Love Is. Let me try one more time. So just go into the song?
Yeah.
Or do you want,
give me a second and I'll point.
There's another one of my favorite songs. This song is called That's What Love Is. It's midst of your fear, it's revealing. It's a part of the heart, and it's just who we are, it's so healing. It's a power inside, always wins over pride, never judges. And it strengthens and comforts us all. That's what love is. It's a healer of souls, makes the broken ones whole and completed. It's what gives you the strength and the hope when you're feeling defeated. It's a compass and guide, and it won't be denied, so we trust it. It's the light in the dark of it all. That's what love is. And it's patient and kind, and it's deaf, dumb, and blind to the madness. It's the ace of the dealer of truth. It's the healer of sadness. It's a place that you know from so long, long ago, and it's free. And you feel when it's there, 'cause you're able to share from your being. And it takes us all higher, and it lifts and inspires all it touches. It's the best part of being alive. That's what love is. Thank you, Jack. And it's patient and kind, and it's deaf, dumb, and blind to the madness. It's the ace of the dealer of truth. It's the healer of sadness. It's beyond right or wrong, and it's not weak or strong. It's not winning. For the young and the old, it's a brave and a bold new beginning. It's the peace and the hope, it's what helps us to cope. It's forgiveness. It's the light that will always endure. It's eternal and simple and pure. That's what love is.
Oh, thank you so much, Freebo, Jack, and
Yeah.
Alice, for sharing your music with us today.